Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Today, I thought of doing a brief interlude, well, basically an interview by Aurora at it's a Sunday Brunch, Channel 4. So I don't. It's going to be quick. It's only 6 minutes, but I thought it looked interesting. It's new. She's in England doing concerts, so she's. So let's see this Sunday Brunch. So this was like, I guess, in the middle of the morning or something. So here we go.
Our next guest is Aurora, and you would probably like to do that, wouldn't you? Because you kind of like the idea of your new album is the Gods We Can Touch, and we were just talking about belief just a few minutes ago in the ad break. Tell us what the album's about. Does it touch on the gods?
Well, it kind of does. I'm very fascinated by human history and religious history. I find it very interesting how many thousands of years ago how we seem to think of God back then, like that it was more like everywhere in the earth, in the water, in the sun, in ourselves, and with time it's changed. And I think it's strange sometimes that we put God up in the sky.
Right,
rather than down below.
Yeah, because
It's funny how she moves. She looks like she's playing the piano, It's just like her movements are so musical and so artistic. It's interesting, the topics that are raised by her, and they look interested, and they have the same pose almost.
then we kind of removed God from the earth and from ourselves and each other and put him somewhere far away. And I'm just fascinated by that choice, or like why that happened and when that happened in our history. So I wrote an album to kind of make myself understand it a bit more.
And what did you get any insights into it?
No.
I'm not sure I believe you.
Okay. This is the brilliance of this wonderful talent, Aurora. She can admit, that she didn't learn more than she already knew, beforehand. But it's quite something, right? That her honesty, and it just and she already knows so much, right? Especially for such a young person and so on. She's so wise. As for the choice and stuff like that, I have a different way of looking at it. But anyway.
What sort of gods are you talking about? Are you talking about the gods like Thor and Odin? And
No.
Oh,
Well, that's Norwegian mythology, which obviously I'm from Norway, so then it makes sense that you say so. But
See how she I find that interesting. She just basically disagreed with the premise of the question, because obviously he doesn't know anything about the album. So he made the assumption that it had to do with Norse gods, or that have to do with Norway because she's from Norway, which is a logical, and that's what she's pointing out, the logical premise for him to go on. But at the same time, she's correcting him, but she's doing it in such a nice, polite manner, as she usually does, right? She's very good at this.
I don't know, a religion something that really fascinated me when I read about religious history and blah 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 was the Greek mythology.
So when you were writing this album, then, does that almost make it easier if you've almost got like a theme to say, right, okay, this is going to be the core of what I'm writing? Does it make the writing process work better?
Well, I don't really know. For me, the writing process is always very wonderful, and it's fueled by a lot of different things. Obviously, I do really enjoy making what would you call it? A thematic album, a conceptual album. I really enjoy it. I don't know. I feel like every album I've made in my career is kind of a way for me to digest or solve or figure something out that I haven't really figured out yet. Does that make sense?
She's such easy to interview, because you could just ask her a question and she can go on for as long as you want her to, right? She's just so articulate and expressive, and so on. And you could tell that they're, it has to be difficult, to do interviews with different people. And this is it's a kind of morning show or something, brunch show. So they must have different guests and so on. And so it's hard for them to know everything about everyone, right? So that's why they have those little crib notes, those notes that you see in front of them, to see what kind of questions or what kind of topic they can raise with the guest. But one of the and they also have a time restriction, so they have to sort of be concise as well, or try to be as concise as possible. But that's one of the things that is lost, right, with these type of interviews and so on, because they're so concentrated on getting through the questions or the topics that you've written down, that you're not really listening as much as you would normally do, or if you're really good at listening, which is the hardest thing to do. Aside from love, listening, well, actually, it's the same thing. Because if you really listen with love and an open mind and being very attentive, being in the moment, then you don't miss out on what the other person is really saying, and you can go off from that. I think it's a mistake when you already have something else in mind while the other person is speaking, So that's why when I see someone flipping through notes while the other person is speaking, they're not really paying as much attention. They're just looking for an opening to bring up something else.
Do you think it's? I've got quite a lot of friends from Norway, and they always talk about nature. It's a big.
I think she's looking at his notes. She's just curious about what she.
Like having their summer house, their winter house, and they like getting out in nature. Do you think that is why you feel the way you do, because you're from Norway and you've got a connection with nature?
Well,
she looks so relaxed. I keep interrupting, but she looks so relaxed. They look they're like in the front foot, or they're trying to be more attentive and more whatever. And she's all relaxed, just basically paying attention as she normally does. And that's what she's good at, and because she's she has like I said, love in her heart, and so she's listening.
I think it helps. I think the more we are exposed to the natural beauty and kindness and rawness of Mother Earth, helps to strengthen the relationship with her. I'm very connected with nature and the planet. I think because I feel like nature offers you a very special way to work with your mental health, with your views of life and perspective. I don't know, it's important.
Yeah, feel if you're feeling down, go and hang out in nature for a while. It'll definitely give you a lift. Right, let's have a look at you in action. This is your single, A Cure for Me.
She makes it look like she's like this little I don't know, fly, girl, or whatever, Instead, she's probably the smartest girl in the room most of the time, or the smartest person in the room most of the time. So that's what I find interesting. I've just skipped the singing of the song, just in case, I don't want to get blocked, the video, or copyrighted. I don't know what's going to happen. But anyway, moving on with the interview.
Forest initiative you've got going.
I like to do what I can for our poor planet, and I like including my fans into the process, because the biggest thing, or the most important thing, to have progress, I think, is to not be scared that you're doing not enough, but to at least just do something. I feel like there's a lot of pressure, and all of us can't be Greta Thunberg, and it's important to not pressure yourself too much and just realize that we can all do our small part. And I think that's my biggest reason for doing the forest initiative. So every fan can help plant a tree.
The thing is that every little bit becomes a...
See how they're sitting back. To me, they seem much more relaxed with her, And I think that's her style. That she's sitting back, and they're sitting. They end up sitting back too, being relaxed, and also the way she's speaking, she seems to have, I don't know. Just this is my opinion, but because she speaks in a way that almost everything she says is not an affirmative statement. It's more like in a tone of a question. Yeah. So she ends with, and I think that's sort of like what I think, like it's sort of like a very questioning type of thing, even though she's quite definite, I think, in what she's thinking,
It's a bigger bit. That's the whole thing, isn't it? Tiny pieces. Jigsaw.
Yes, and the power of the individual.
Yeah.
So how does it work?
Extremely powerful.
Sorry to interrupt you. So how does it work? So everyone who buys one of your records will,
Yes.
you will plant a tree for them?
We plant one tree for every bundle, like a record and like a T-shirt or some stuff
Right,
like
okay.
that.
Yeah.
I plant a tree, and then we make a forest, and maybe in 50 years we can take our kids there and leave them there, and they can teach themselves how to live in the forest.
That's a nice legacy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Not sure about leaving kids in the forest, though.
Oh, jeez. Okay, that's her. That's just her sense of humor, That just she throws these things out there that are just, again, they're it's sort of like making sure that people are paying attention. So she'll throw something that maybe is unexpected, and just to see what the reaction is, because I think deep inside she's a little bit of a comedian, like sort of like Alfred Hitchcock used to be. Deep inside he had a lot of comic aspect about things, even though his stories were more on the morbid side, but he had the comic genius about him as well. And other comedians had this type of style, sort of like throw in something, that is unexpected, and that's part of the comedy, right? That's how people laugh.
I'm not sure yet. Don't do that at home.
And touring.
Well, he's warning people, don't do that at home, only because I'm in the forest. Obviously, she's having fun with this as well, right? Just to see how they're reacting. I mean, look at her, there's stuff going on in her mind. I'm guessing, that's, I'd be really curious. I have some questions in mind when they're. Anyway, okay, so I think this is about it, right?
When are we seeing you in the
Almost
UK?
Right now,
Yeah.
I'm leaving to Leeds after I've chatted with you two. So I'm performing in Leeds tonight and in London on Wednesday, I think.
Aurora, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Your album, The Gods We Can Touch, is out now.
She's getting pretty good at doing this, even though, she's not. That's something that I picture her that that she would say like she wants to do. She goes around talking about these interviews. I think she wants to. She's promoting with I wonder how she's come to grips with the idea of promoting, because I find it difficult. I'm promoting other artists to try and to indirectly, in a way, hopefully promote my book and so on, or and whatever. But that doesn't work very well. It does, because people, if you're not if they don't hear about it, if there's no, that's why you have all these like pop-ups and all these things on videos, subscribe, ring the bell or notification or whatever, and all these things, because people need reminders all the time, because there's so much distraction that people forget, and if it's not in front of their eyes, they tend to forget. Or put it aside or whatever, So you have to be sort of like doing this in order to promote. And yeah, but I'm not into self-promotion, so that's the difficult part about this. And I get the feeling that it's not easy for Aurora either to do that. But in the back of her mind, she's promoting something because she was doing this for the fans. You know, ultimately, I think from the beginning, that's what she's doing. She's doing everything she does, including the promotional side of things, is just so that she could help her fans. At least that's what I think. Sometimes I think that she gets lost in that. I think she says it herself that she sort of loses that, and she gets absorbed by the world, and maybe that becomes sort of like she might not recognize herself, you know, at a moment that all of a sudden you're like you're promoting stuff that in a way that you didn't want to, but you're so you sort of get absorbed in the moment of doing something that you thought, you know, it's separate from what you're really thinking, and then you become part of that, of what you're doing, you know, and so you sort of get lost in there. I don't know if that makes any sense whatsoever, but anyway. Okay, so I think that's it.
We've also got a special performance from you at the
that was it. Okay.
The show. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Okay, bye. Okay. All right. It's amazing that she sounds like she's from, I don't know where she's from. You know, the way she sounds, you know, she's so articulate in the way she speaks English. I'd be curious to know what she learned, how she learned it, you know, and so on. But anyway. Okay, so, all right. So that's about it. It's a quick interview. Hopefully you enjoyed this. Have a great day. Take care of yourselves, okay? Stay safe, stay sound, and bye.